All right, welcome back. Last video, we set up our React app and we made an API request to our Django API, and we did nothing with that data. Before we move further and I start writing code, I do want to get some linters installed. Linters allow you to run formatters at various times, whether that's when you save your code or when you make commits, that format your code consistently so you don't have to think. I don't really like thinking, so we like those. To start, let's do the front end one. So I've used a variety of linters. There's more for the front end than Django and Python, but I've heard good things about Prettier because it's extremely opinionated and it's extremely opinionated, and I believe it's just like easy to work with. So we're going to go with that. What is prettier? Why is prettier? Prettier versus linters. Actually, kind of curious. Oh, I didn't even know prettier was not a linter. So we might need prettier and a linter. And before we set this up, actually, let's set up Typescript because Typescript will allow us to define types, and our linter should be set up for Typescript. So it says like, hey, this thing doesn't have a type. So let's actually start with that. So there is a template. If I previously run that, to add TypeScript to an existing React project, first install it. So we take all this, go to our terminal. I already have everything running, so we're just going to stop the front end, run these commands. Perfect. What does it say to do next? What are these? So types node, types React, bunch of types. So those are just some like default types. Next, rename any file to be TypeScript. So any .js files, change to .tsx. That's why I wanted to do this early, is because we do have a few, and if we continued coding, we would only get more, which would make this a little bit more annoying. There might be like a faster way to do this than manually renaming, but we're just going to do it manually because we do have so few. If you were working on a big project and you were adding TypeScript, you would almost definitely want to find an automated way of doing this, or a script or something. And is it TSX? Oh, it is TSX. I think .ts and .tsx are actually the same. It's just in React. Ooh, in React's case, and don't quote me on this, but in React, what's the click key? What key even is that? Enter? Anyway. What is enter? Wow, I didn't know you could rename that quickly. But I think TS versus TX is just like in React, it's their own language, so they do .tsx, if I'm not mistaken. But like, don't quote me, I could be just very wrong in every sense. All right, so that's all of our .js files renamed to TSX, and then it wanted us to restart our editor. So let's go ahead and do that. Command Q, open it back up, make that full screen. Okay. So apparently type error should already show up once I run npm start. If I got that right. All right, so can't resolve a couple of imports in our index file. And we've got a few errors here. You know, wait. This might be easier because there's going to be like a few weird things at the start because, with TypeScript, there's your regular day-to-day where you define types, you use types, etc. But when you're setting up a project, the types can get pretty weird. So I may actually just create a new app, create a new React app. We don't have that much to copy over, so I'm going to see what that's like. And if it does seem like a good idea, then you can go back to this part of the video and follow along. We want that to stay. And maybe we'll just call this one React boilerplate TS for TypeScript. It's gonna, oh, that might have actually been finishing there. Okay. And then what we'll probably be able to do is just take our components, pages, and plugins and copy all of that. There's a little bit here that we'll want to copy, our router, and then it should be flying from there. Okay, changing to TS. I'm gonna run npm start on this one, and let's see what the code looks like. So I'm going to add that folder. Oh, come on. I really want to turn that off too, where like it opens it right away for you. I always found that kind of annoying. It's already in here because that is our folder. And this was very silly of me. Maybe. There's almost no differences. What's the difference between our index file and both of them? So there's our old index file. No, it's just this. That's one way of figuring out that issue. And then expected 1 argument but got 0. Okay, let's go take a look at this. Let's copy the TypeScript one over to our existing project. So we're not using the old or the new TypeScript project. We're using the old React project that we've been working with. I'm just copying over a few things. So if we go to our index file now, that's all good. That's all good. No errors. Consider adding an import instead. Okay, we'll have to look into that one. I haven't used like a full TypeScript project before too, or like done a setup for one, so lots of learning for me here. Let's just copy that and see what we can find. I'm sure this is a pretty common issue. Usually with a lot of TypeScript stuff, you can figure it out pretty quick with the help of the internet. Oh, is there a TS config? Okay. So the other thing we want to do is take our TS config and create that in our React project as well. So tsconfig.json. That actually might have been in the docs that I just closed. Or maybe not. Anyway. Let's go back to that file. Where was that? Start router. There we go. So it's starting to look pretty good. I'm going to remove the TypeScript project that we just created from the Yeah, I'm just gonna delete the whole thing. All right, no errors. And the app is running if you look at, oh, just kidding. Error in child compilations. Use stats.children true. I'm just gonna try restarting because I wonder if it's just, oh, maybe it's because I just deleted that whole app template. Wait, what did I call it? Yeah. It's because I deleted the whole project. You'll usually get errors if you do that. All right, so our page is loading. We can go to schools. There's the page, and we made an API request with that in the background. Okay, so TypeScript is set up, sort of, kind of, like a little bit of it. Now, one thing, I'm not sure if I want to do this right away. Getting started. Examples. I'm probably going to do some research on TypeScript. I'd recommend you do the same. I don't really want to do research kind of while I'm making a video, but would recommend it. Enums and namespaces are not supported. Okay, yeah, I'll just look into all that. So let's go to the linters now. The linters and what's the linter I wanted to use? That's prettier. Install. Okay, so first step is install it. Pretty simple. Next step is going to be to create an empty JSON. Well, yeah, empty JSON object in a file called prettier something or other. That's gonna be like our config likely. I just opened up a video player by accident. Next step is to create a prettier ignore file. So which files do we not want to format? That's a pretty important one. Did I spell that right? It's funny how this one you don't echo, but it's just, yeah, just prettier ignore. Oops. Oops. Where am I going? Prettier ignore. Put in that. We don't even have a build folder. We probably will eventually, or a coverage folder, but we'll just keep the file there. We probably don't want to format our node modules. Or even our, we can stick, I don't think it matters if we add public there, but based on your git ignore, which we will have soon. One thing is I'm probably going to move all these into like a config folder as well, because this like root directory on projects can get super messy if you don't clean it up. It's kind of a pre-optimization, I suppose, but there's our git ignore. Yeah, here's a bunch of environment stuff. The build folder, coverage, node modules. I'm going to remove public. Let's put a slash there like they do. Okay. Nope. Now format all files with prettier. Let's see what happens. Done. See if we can notice any changes. I was thinking we might set up git right before I ran that command, but that's okay. Doesn't look like it did anything though. Oh, it did remove a line right here, so it did run. Okay. So now it can take a little while. You can specify the files, run check, set up your your editor. If you are using ESLint, install ESLint config prettier to make ESLint and prettier play nice with each other. I've done that before. It sucked, but we're going to, so stay tuned. Okay, let's install prettier for VS Code. If you're using another editor, you'll have to figure that one out on your own. Code formatter, install that. Any configurations you can do on this? Okay, Java, no. Okay, so that's that installed for Visual Studio Code. Now let's get ESLint running. I think we'll start with this and then we'll go to ESLint because it might be a little bit easier to set up ESLint if it's immediately not having issues with prettier. Oh, we're going to need to do this step after ESLint. So React, set up ESLint with TypeScript. Sometimes you just need to add that with TypeScript because you'll get a lot of tutorials, or at least you used to, where it was very non-TypeScript focused. Let's see if we have this ESLint config in our package.json. Also, oh yeah, we do. I don't. How can I scroll way down here? That's annoying. Okay, remove that. Did I miss step one? No, well, that's the, well, yeah, we set up TypeScript already. So now let's install ESLint. Lots of installs right now. That's ESLint. I'm sure it's there. Now let's try running init. That's cool. I don't remember ESLint having an init command. I need to install the following packages. Yeah, sure. Wow, it can enforce code style. We might be able to remove prettier if this proves pretty good at that. What type of modules? What framework? Does your project use TypeScript? Or does your code run? Use a popular styled guide. Sure. I want my config file to be in JSON. Would you like to install them now? Oh, this is awesome. Which package manager do you use? Cool. Let's see what happens when we do this. Let's see if we get just as many errors as they say we will. So we're going to run the linter on our code. Something went wrong. ESLint. I have a rule which requires parser services to be generated. Let's back up. So let's see if we have like a bunch of ESLint dev dependencies now. There's an ESLint file, plugins, React. Bunch of new dev dependencies. Yep, that's what we want to see. Do we get the TypeScript ones? I don't see any TypeScript. There's an ESLint plugin one, but no parser. I wonder if I Google that error that we just received, if it's going to say you need the parser. Open manual page, that's not what I wanted. Path to my tsconfig file. Where are we putting this? In your ESLint.json. In parser options, okay. So just gonna do that, grab project. Path to our tsconfig file. Is this a relative path? All right, let's see what happens if we run ESLint again. Seems like it's doing more. There we are. So many errors. Extra semicolon. Strings must use single quote. We like that. Okay, and then like they said, we can just run it with dash fix. And hopefully that'll just make our project extra nice. Okay, React must be in scope when using JSX. Missing return type on function. Promises must be awaited, end with a call to catch, and end with a call to them with a rejection handler. Okay, lots of errors. I think we may end up removing prettier. I didn't realize how powerful ESLint was now. And if we add a, let's set up ESLint further so that our editor will just tell us. Just reading through this. So this is just them solving the remaining errors. We'll probably have slightly different errors, so I'm not even going to bother. We can just Google them. So React, Visual Studio Code, ESLint. I'm sure we can just look with the package. And those will be like, hey, you need some other packages too. Seems good to me. Okay, now if we go to one of these, there we go. ESLint, cannot read file. That's interesting. Is that what all these are going to say? So in our package or in our ESLint, this path is wrong. Do I have to do React? Is that relative path in the project you've opened? It might be. That makes sense. Oops, where am I going? Where am I going again? Okay, so we changed that path. There we go. Oh, so it is. So we'll probably change that again because right now I have Visual Studio opened on a folder that isn't a Git repo, which makes it it's just a bit weird because you can just add these two folders as a workspace and then not have this like parent folder in the Vim there. So we'll probably have to update at some point. If that makes sense. Promises must be awaited. Really? Missing return type on method. There is no return type. Let's see what this says. Do you really have to do void if you're not returning anything? Even in a use effect? Wait. Type void is not a valid async function return type in ES5, ES3 because it does not refer to a promise compatible construct value. Okay. What is the return type on a whole ass? Also, let's get rid of prettier before I forget, because I don't think we're gonna use it. So prettier is one package we'll get rid of, and then ESLint config prettier is another one. And then we can get rid of our two prettier files, the JSON config file and the ignore file. Perfect. I think that was it. So our node module still has it, but it's not like configured in any sense, so we don't have to worry about it. Okay. What other errors do we have? Let's see. React must be in scope, import React. Oh my goodness, doesn't like that one. So it's so like, I don't understand why you'd want, I've never understood this. We're gonna Google it. Why React has to be in scope even though you don't like mention it. Maybe it's because it makes it a, if you're using React v17, you can just remove it. What version of React are we using? We're using 18. But why do we need it? Why? Hmm. Okay, sure. You can read that more if you want, but I got enough out of it, I guess. Okay, let's fix our TypeScript errors. So here, all we have to do is import React. Oh, it's good. Let's close all of these. This one looks good. What is going on in here? Missing return type on function. This one seems odd to me. Like I don't think I should have to specify a return type on. Well, maybe. Oh, there's the React. We'd start using React if we did this too. Okay, so this is for our components. The type that is returned from our app. Oops. Okay, props. That's imported from React, right? It's so funny when you Google TypeScript issues, you'll always run into an edge that's just like turn off the rule. It's like without a doubt. Okay, and then you can like define the props here. So we can do um I wonder if there's a good naming notation. We'll have to look up a naming notation for like the props for a component. Home props. It's not equals, is it? What is equals? And we'll just put nothing in here. And then we'll throw it in there. And it's going to say use interface instead of type. What? Okay, let's look at this one. So just getting TypeScript set up can kind of be painful. Just because there's lots of like little things you need to figure out early on, and then it gets easier. An empty interface, incorrect. Okay, so it just doesn't like an empty TypeScript. What type to use for component? Like a. See if we can get an example on this one. No, I don't want push notifications. TypeScript, React, function-based component props. I think there's like a library you can use to make this a lot easier, and I forget what it is. There's just like something that provides some nice handy tools and stuff. You know what we probably can do is just remove the props. There we go. We don't have props yet, so just don't use them. This doesn't have props either. Missing return type on function. Okay, and if we try and type void here because there's no return type, it gives us this error. Let's look up. Oops. Let's look up this one and see what we find. Oh, they all okay. All asynchronous functions return promises, but it could return a promise that resolves to a Boolean. Does that mean I can do a promise void? Okay, so it returns a promise which returns nothing. Promises must be awaited, and with okay, let's see what we learn here. We're learning some good little things here. This is good practice. I've done a lot of JavaScript work, and you can do some pretty stupid shit, as people know. with JavaScript. So okay, so I think it's probably going to allow me to do a try catch instead. No? I really like then catch. No floating promises. Floating promises is one that is good without any code to set up. Any errors it might throw. Cause lots of errors. So incorrect. Oh. So I can just do await get schools, right? This is so funny. So in useEffects, I forget what was complaining about it, but I think my linter, my other product, was complaining that the way you want to do your first calls is define the method in the useEffects so that it doesn't have to be a dependency and then call it at the bottom. And now this is saying, oh wait, yeah, of course I can await. This is not an asynchronous. So if I put a async in here, it's going to say like, you can't do asynchronous. Argument to type, promise why does not assign a parameter type effect callback. Right, so I can't make the callback a asynchronous method. How are you supposed to set this up? Okay, let's get rid of some of this. Typescript, React, used effect, async example. Okay, yeah, we got that error. Okay, this is what we tried. Okay, that's what we have right now, what they just suggested. Let me sit up straight as I'm slouching more and more. Promises must be awaited. I don't know why you couldn't have floating promises. Valid ways of handling a promise valued statement include awaiting for it, which I can't do because we can't have an asynchronous method. Returning it. What if I just return it? I think that doesn't that run when the component like ends? I don't think I can return it. So that's how you that's like a destroy. That's how you run destroy events. Okay, let's see if we can find another example. See if someone knows something more than that person. Yeah, here's another one. Doesn't like that. What the fuck is this? Immediately invoke function expression. Oh, also, am I allowed to swear on YouTube? I hope so. As soon as it is defined. That seems really silly, but it's probably something I don't understand. Okay. Unless I read something wrong, it doesn't like that. Use the use async effect package, which provides a use async effect method. I mean, that might actually be helpful. Oh, he answered. Oh, he answered that first, and then he came back and answered again a few weeks later and said, "Do this." Oops. Just doing random things and hoping they work. That's how far we've come. Okay, let's ESLint no floating promises in use effect. Yeah, here we go. Rules colliding with this. Just because the React docs recommend it does not make it any less of a floating promise. If you are okay with floating promises, then disable it. I've rated the docs and look at the ignore void option. Actually, let's keep that open because that was a good use effect, ignore void. Oh, there's the guy who wrote the no floating promises rule. Okay, yeah, so this, I bet you that will actually fix it. As for the comments on the correct use of void, please use ignore or read ignore void. Typescript ESLint. Ignore void. This allows you to stop the rule reporting promises consumed with the void operator. This can be a good way to explicitly mark a promise as intentionally not awaited. Okay. Okay, so I guess that's how they want us to do it. It's kind of bizarre in my eyes, but okay. And now there's this one, missing return type. What does this return? Promises must be awaited. This thing is a mess. That's not what I wanted. Also, what even is this? Report web vitals. Should we see what this package is all about? See what our code's doing? It's good practice. Web Vitals is an initiative by Google. Okay, performance things, I suppose. We'll keep it. I wish I didn't delete the TypeScript generated project because it would probably tell us. There's some return type. And with a catch. Doesn't it end with a call to? Okay, so it just wants a catch on that. Or probably the finally would work too. If we're not actually catching anything, it would probably make more sense to use finally. And maybe we will want something there at some point, but so this is returning nothing, right? That's not the return type right here. Okay, so that returns nothing. Let's see if our terminal has anything in it. Let's try running this and see how many errors we get. Cannot read file. Okay, so we get a lot of cannot read file. I wonder why that is. It's like everywhere too. I wonder if it has to be an absolute path to that ESLint. This isn't the ESLint here. Close the rest of them, we don't need them. Oh, you know, if I go back here. Wrong spot. If we go to our, no, wrong spot. If we go to our ESLint, if we just, like beforehand we had dot slash, if we just remove any mention of a, it's clearly not finding the file. Wait, what am I doing? I'm not reading, that's for sure. Directory name. The current working directory, is that in, I think that's in, okay. Remove this, I bet you we can remove this, and we're going to, I'm going to close Visual Studio entirely. You can do the same. I'm going to close that too, because I don't know what's open. And then we're going to, I'm an idiot, you don't have to reopen it. Make a new window, close the old window. And when you add a folder to a workspace, you want to add the actual React project rather than the parent folder. So I have this like parent folder. You want to add the actual React. There we go. And then we're going to add another folder to workspace, which is going to be our actual Django boilerplate. And then because this is like in the root of the project, it should be able to find our config now, I'm hoping. So let's see. Oops. Unexpected token in our ESLint. Did I accidentally type a character? No, it just doesn't like the comma. Okay, it doesn't like that either. This is the old error we got. I saw that they didn't even put it in brackets. Okay, it doesn't like that the React version is not specified in the ESLint plugin. But that worked. It appears it worked at least. Yeah, why would you just detect it yourself? Why would I have to do this? All right, we're just gonna ignore that for now. We'll maybe get back to it. But our ESLint config is now running on our project and we have no errors. That took way longer than I wanted it to. But we got Typescript running. We were going to use prettier. We removed prettier. And now we have ESLint running. We fixed our code. I'm going to pause this or end this video here. And in the next video, we're going to set up the backend. We're going to set up a linter for that. And we're also going to organize our code a little bit on the backend. Once we're there, we should be able to start moving forward with some of the fun code rather than just like configs and installs. So thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one.